we're going to look at how to use Piriform's CCleaner program to keep your computer nice and healthy. First thing we need to do is actually look for it through a browser. I'm using Firefox. So I'm going to Google Piriform.com. And on here, as you can see, there's some information about the company, and I'm actually going to go straight to their CCleaner window. As you can see, there are two options, and what we're going to do is look at the actual free download. You've got an option to buy now or the download, and if you notice, you can actually use it on a PC or a Mac. So click on download, and the free version is quite adequate, although I would say that if you do want to buy it, it is a very good price at $19.95. Anyway, we'll go for the free one to start, and we'll click download. And I'm going to go start download. And you'll notice here we've actually got it popping up, so I'm going to save the file. You'll notice that if you want, you can actually subscribe as a user of their system, and they do also offer other types of programs that you can download as well. So next thing I'm going to do is check within my Start button menu in my documents and go to my actual download folder. There we are. And you'll see that the CClean setup 409, so that's the actual version 4.09, is in my downloads folder, and I'm going to double click on that, and that will start the program. And here we have our user control. I'm going to choose yes, and I'll just minimize these screens a minute. And here we have the actual Welcome to CCleaner version 4.09 setup. You'll notice that you can select your language. It's auto to English at the moment, but as usual, you can find other languages here if you prefer. We click on Next, and it will actually ask you whether you want to have a shortcut menu, add a start menu shortcut, add run CCleaner option to recycle bin, and add open CCleaner to recycle bin context. Automatically check for updates. I would recommend that you actually use that. And the enable intelligent cookie scan is quite useful because it will actually look through all the websites that you use regularly and keep the cookies for those websites rather than wiping the whole lot off. Next thing I do is click install, and there we go. As you can see, it's extracting the whole thing and it's downloading. This takes a minute or two, and we have the option here to run our CCleaner version 4.09, and if you want to read the release notes about it, you can do. I'm going to untick that and click finish. And as you can see, it automatically opens up. The interface on CCleaner is very easy to use. You have a left-hand navigation area here. You've got the cleaner, then you have a registry cleaner, a toolkit which allows you to uninstall items, check that your system isn't sort of overrun by startup items, a file finder, system restore, and a drive wiper, and this can prove to be quite useful. And also we have our options here where you can set things like automatically run the cleaner when the computer starts. I actually like that option, so I always use it. It's also got about cookies on here, and we've got sort of include items, exclude items, and advanced settings. So I'm going to look at the cleaner itself. It's very simple to use. You already have some pre-ticked boxes, as you can see here. Now, the ones that are greyed out at the moment, I would say, unless you know exactly what you're doing, do not actually tick any of these. As you become more proficient with looking after your computer, you can actually tick some of them. Now, I'm aware of some that I would normally use, and I'm going to actually remove some of these myself, and just want to make sure that everything's okay. Now, you will notice that if you tick certain boxes, it will come up with a actual warning sign, and if you are happy with what you're doing, you can click OK. I'm just going to untick that one, and I'm happy with that one, so I'm going to keep it. Window event logs, I don't want loads and loads of those on my system. I've also got sort of shortcuts that you can keep on your system and things, and I'm going to get rid of the DNS cache and the font cache as well. All you next do is click Analyze, and it will actually go through every file on your computer, as you can see here, and it will actually run a scan of your system and check that everything's working all right. If you actually have your internet browser open, you will need to close it. So if this message shows up again, tick "Don't show me this message again." Just click yes, and it should close it down. If it doesn't close, you will get a warning up which will say "Please force closure." And there we are. So we've now got our complete analysis. It tells you how many seconds it takes here, and it will tell you how much rubbish will be removed from your system. And as you can see, it lists all your system files that need to be removed, internet cache, internet history, and things like that. And the next thing we do is we click Run Cleaner, and it actually tells you what you're actually going to do, and it will delete files from your system. These are quite safe to delete, so you can click OK. And again, it will actually run through a whole procedure. You'll notice that it actually does look at other browsers other than the one that you use normally, including Windows. If you use Opera and Chrome, for example, these will be included in the actual cleaning list. And it sometimes takes a couple of goes to actually get it to go clean. I'm going to ask it not to show me the message again when I do this. And this, as you can see, is a very, very quick system. There we are, completely removed all the rubbish, so I'm quite happy to do that. The next thing I'm going to look at is the registry, and this removes files that are actually added to your system when you update your Windows program or any of your sort of installed things like, say for example, Adobe Flash, Adobe PDF Reader and things like that. And what happens is those files are put there whilst the actual program is loading up, but they are not removed once the actual installation or update has been finished, and they just sit there and actually add loads of files to your system and again make it run slower. So the first thing we're going to do is click Scan for Issues. And what will happen is it will actually go through the registry and see if there's any information that has actually been added to your system that isn't actually being used by the system. One thing that you will notice up here, it tells you the type of system you're actually using. So we're on Microsoft Windows 8.1 64-bit. It tells me the type of CPU I have, and the speed it's running at, how many RAM I've got, and my graphics card. Now you'll notice here I've just got 6 items, including an obsolete software key for Norton. I personally don't use Norton on my system. I have other software to use to protect me against viruses and things. Right, what I will do now is I'm going to click Fix Selected Issues. So it says, do you want to back up the changes to your registry? I would recommend that you do this, because if for any reason your computer doesn't run properly, then you need to actually back it up, and you can go back and reinstall these items. You'll notice in my documents file I already have a file called CCleaner, and I'm actually going to back up this registry file to that. Click open, and I'm going to go save. Next thing I see is my fix all issues, and I'm just going to go fix all selected issues. As you can see, they are all ticked here, and I click on that and it will tell me if they've all been done, and I click close. One thing I would say is, if you are using this for the first time and you've never cleaned your computer or your registry, it can actually take a lot longer than is happening with mine. I actually uninstalled mine to show you the process of installing it and running the system. I'm next going to look at Tools, and on here we actually have an option of clearing rubbish off our systems. Now, when you uninstall something or delete an item from your hard drive, what happens is you are left with what's called a ghost file that just sits there. So it hasn't actually been removed completely. Now, the actual drive wiper is really useful, because what it does is it erases securely all the contents of a drive, and it helps free up the free space on the drive. You've got different options here of different types of overwrites, and the one that I use probably about once a month is this very complex overwrite. It does take quite a few hours to run, but it is worthwhile doing, because it does help keep your hard drive nice and healthy and frees up any space that has got deleted files on it but are still sitting there as a ghost file. I'm not going to actually use that at the moment, but the one thing I will say is be very careful. On the drop down you also have wipe entire drive, and it says all data will be erased. If you hit that and hit your C drive and click wipe, what will happen is you will lose absolutely everything. So I would, unless you are giving your computer to somebody as a gift or you're actually throwing it away, do not use this particular item under any circumstances. And I've just put it back to free space only. Got on here you have an uninstall program, so if you want to remove anything from your computer, you just click uninstall. We can actually just click on something. For example, here I installed an actual driver for an external webcam, and unfortunately it didn't work, so I'm actually going to run the uninstall. I click on Run Uninstaller, and that will actually remove the actual item from my system for me. At the moment my cleaner isn't actually responding, so I'm just going to wait for it to do that. And this should, there we are, go through to my Install Shield Wizard, and it's actually going to uninstall it. So do you want to completely remove the selected item? Yes, I do, and it will then remove that from my computer. And as you can see, it's now saying that the uninstall is complete. So I just click finish, and if we notice, it should actually now have removed that from my list. I just click uninstall again. Right, now one thing I would say is that if we have a look at our startup system, you'll notice that there are an awful lot of things that can actually slow your computer down. You'll notice that we have different tabs as well. We have Internet Explorer, Firefox, Google Chrome, scheduled tasks and context manager. So there's different things that I've actually got running at different times. You can actually run these to help sort of reduce things. So if you're finding that your computer's running extremely slowly, it's a good idea if you actually disable some of these. So I know that some of these I don't actually want running all the time. So for example, my Kai's system, which is my backup system for my smartphone, I don't want that running when I actually start my computer. I don't want to run my Cast-O-Matic when I run the computer either. Super anti-spyware, yes. Adobe systems, no. So I can actually go down through these and actually disable those ones that I think are actually having a negative impact on my actual system. So you'll know which ones not to turn off, for example, like the Avast, which is the antivirus system I use. I've got hotkey commands. I don't really want those working. I want my malware fighter working. Don't need Apple Tunes, iTunes Helper. I don't need my KeyPass doing that either. So we'll just go through some of these, and as you can see, all the ones that are actually affecting the speed of my computer when it's working, where I've disabled them, it's actually saying no now, and they are greyed out. So we'll carry on having a look at these. And this will take a minute or two, and as you can see, there are rather a lot of them. So I really do think that sometimes we forget that we don't need all of these working continually on our systems in the background, and it is a real nuisance if they're actually sort of fouling up the system and making your computer run slower and slower. And I'm just turning off all my smart technology items because they don't need to start when my computer starts, and it's easy enough for you to actually open these up from your actual start menu. You don't need to have these running all the time. And there we are. So that's it really. If I need to find a file, for example, I can actually search for files through my system here, and that's quite useful. System restores is a good thing to go into. You'll notice that it actually says the latest one is disabled for system safety. So for example, there's my system restore point here, 18th of the 1st, 2014. That one is greyed out. I can, if I want to, actually delete these ones, but I'm quite happy not to at the moment. Right, I'm just going to now look at the options, and I'm going to go to settings, and I've got a system here that says about secure deletion. I'm actually going to enable my secure file deletion, and I'm just going to do a advanced overwrite on it of 3 passes. Actually, I'll do the complex one of 7, and you'll notice it will just wipe free space. It will not wipe my drive, and I'm happy with that, so I can now close my program down, and that is how to use Piriform CCleaner.